A U.S. official just got shredded on live TV, accused of breaking the Constitution, defying the Supreme Court, and funneling $45 billion to private prison cronies. Families are terrified. Kids can't sleep, afraid their parents will disappear. And when pressed with simple yes or no questions about the law, she hesitated, because the truth is devastating. This isn't politics. This is how democracy breaks in real time with lives on the line. And the moment you're about to see changes everything.
I now recognize Ms. Ramirez for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Chairman. Secretary, it's good to see you. I'm going to go straight to the questions because I have a lot of them. Let me start just following up with Congressman Goldman about judiciary. Do you agree that the judiciary is a co-equal branch of government and it is your obligation as a member of the executive branch to honor decisions made by the highest court of the land? Yes or no, Secretary?
We are abiding by all federal judges' orders, absolutely.
So yes, it's a co-equal branch of government. Okay, well, let me ask you a follow-up question to that. Do you agree that Congress is a co-equal branch of government and it is your obligation as a member of the executive branch to honor legislation and appropriations duly authorized by Congress? Yes or no?
Yes, that's why I'm thrilled to work.
Well, let me ask you the follow-up question here because I have a lot of them. Do you agree that Article 1 of the Constitution gives Congress the power of the purse? Yes or no?
Yes, it is a duty.
Do you believe that, let me ask you another follow-up, it's just yes or no. Do you believe you have the power to disregard congressional appropriations and unilaterally repurpose funds that have been duly appropriated by Congress? Yes or no?
Ma'am, we are not doing that.
So the answer to you is no. All right, well, it was a yes or no, Secretary. Let me continue. Interestingly, you said no. But since you've been Secretary, you have repeatedly disregarded the law. You have illegally impounded funds that Congress appropriated and that your branch of government must implement pursuant to the law. Yet you've closed offices established in law, including the Office for Civil Rights and Civil Liberties, the Office of the Immigration Detention Ombudsman, the Office of the Citizenship and Immigration Services, and you've canceled contracts for programs authorized in law, including shelter and service programs and citizenship and integration grants. You've obstructed and roughed up members of this committee as they attempted to conduct congressional oversight, and then you vilified them. But my question is, if they were so bad, why were they allowed to go in after to conduct oversight? Let me just continue. You redirected funds to terrorize our communities. You created taxpayer-funded political propaganda campaigns to terrorize families and children who don't sleep at night because of the terror of those commercials that you are putting out there. You hold sick, disrespectful press conferences in my state where, let me be clear, you are not welcome. You corruptly used emergency authority to avoid procurement to make Trump's private prison donors richer by directing $45 billion for them to expand ICE detention centers. You defunded work to address real threats to the homeland, all while you pursued college newspaper editors, labor leaders, and even a Harvard scientist who failed to declare frog embryos at the airport. Clearly, we don't have time for all my questions, so I have 13 pages worth of questions that I will be submitting to the record that I expect you and the administration to answer. But here is my final question to you. When you took your oath, did you swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America? Yes or no?
Yes, I did.
So I find that laughable. You don't behave like someone who takes that oath seriously. And let me tell you why. We don't live in a dictatorship or a monarchy. Trump's will is not the guiding doctrine of this nation, and our country is not a playground for his or your twisted authoritarian fantasies. We are a democracy. We defend the Constitution and we affirm the rule of law. We respect the co-equal branches of government and we uphold our rights, even when we disagree. The foundation of our nation is based on a core set of constitutional rights upon which our prosperity, our pluralism, and our peace depend on it. You, however, have been leading this work for 116 days, and in that time, you have profiled and dehumanized our neighbors. You've betrayed our constitutional commitment to due process. You've deported United States citizens. You've undermined the courts, you've broken the law, you've engaged in corruption, and you've weaponized the immigration system to violate civil rights. As Senator Murphy perfectly stated, your department is out of control, but you're responsible. You have betrayed the sacred fundamentals of your oath. And I believe to my core that you are not fit to hold the office. And I again, to your face, demand your immediate resignation. And I put it and place it on the record for all of us to see. With that, Chairman, I yield back.
Generally yields. Mr. Gabarino is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Madam Secretary, thank you so much for being here today. I'm the chairman of the Subcommittee on Cybersecurity Infrastructure Protection, so I work with CISA a lot.
It was a moment that stunned the hearing room. Representative Delia Ramirez didn't just question Secretary Noem, she unleashed a blistering accusation that cut to the heart of American democracy. In just 116 days, Ramirez charged Noem had profiled and dehumanized neighbors, deported U.S. citizens, defied Supreme Court rulings, and illegally redirected taxpayer funds. She accused the DHS Secretary of weaponizing the immigration system to violate civil rights, shuttering offices created by law, and funneling $45 billion to private prison allies. Then came the bombshell. Ramirez declared that Noem had betrayed her oath to defend the Constitution and demanded her immediate resignation. It wasn't just oversight, it was a public indictment of power run amok. The hearing turned into a civics lesson under fire. Ramirez pressed Secretary Noem with a series of yes or no questions that exposed the clash between executive power and constitutional duty. Did the judiciary deserve respect as a co-equal branch? Yes, Noem admitted. Did Congress control the power of the purse under Article 1? Another reluctant yes. But when pressed on whether she had repurposed funds illegally and ignored congressional appropriations, Noem dodged and deflected, her hesitation speaking louder than any denial. Ramirez painted a vivid picture, a DHS secretary circumventing the law, bypassing oversight, and behaving as though the Constitution were optional. This wasn't just about policy, it was about whether America's checks and balances were being dismantled in plain sight. Beyond the legal battles, Ramirez hammered home the real-world consequences of Noem's actions. Families live in constant fear, with children lying awake at night wondering if their parents will vanish. Communities have grown silent and disconnected, as residents avoid hospitals, schools, and even calling 911, terrified that the government has become a weapon against its own people. Ramirez described how United States citizens were deported, and neighbors were profiled and dehumanized, shattering trust in public institutions. This wasn't just a political dispute, it was cruelty with a budget, turning immigration enforcement into state-sponsored terror. By linking policy abuse to personal suffering, Ramirez exposed the human cost of authoritarian impulses, reminding the country that democracy is measured in lives, not headlines. Ramirez's fiery conclusion wasn't just an indictment, it was a call to arms for democracy. She demanded Noem's immediate resignation, placing it on the congressional record as a warning that oaths matter and accountability is non-negotiable. "We are not a monarchy, we are not a dictatorship," she declared, framing the fight as freedom versus authoritarianism, not left versus right. The stakes are existential. If unchecked, this abuse of power erodes the rule of law and normalizes government by fear. Ramirez urged Americans to pay attention, speak out, and take action, from supporting watchdog journalism to pressuring representatives, because defending democracy can't wait for the next election. When constitutional guardrails fail, public courage is the last line of defense. Democracy doesn't collapse in one dramatic moment, it erodes when leaders abuse power and citizens look away. Ramirez refused to look away. Neither should we. Share this story, support those exposing corruption, and speak out, because defending the Constitution is not a spectator sport. The fight is now.